You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
It's time to spin round the rim. This is Desert Planet Discs. Star Wars music in a single file. Here are your hosts, Carl Bayless and Greg Robertson.
Hot dang, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Desert Planet Discs track 18. It's March 2022. Thanks for joining us again. Kicking off the show this week, we had Scandroid with the Force theme. It's an excellent version of the classic Force theme tune. You can find them on YouTube. Go and check them out. Joining me as always is my brother in the Force, Mr. Carl Mooncat Drums Bayless. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, not too bad, thank you. And yourself?
I'm all good. And we're delighted to be joined this week by a very special guest. I was going to say drum roll. Are you going to do the drum roll?
I can do a drum roll, yeah.
Is our good friend Andy from Blues Harvest and also Darth Elvis Friends. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure as always.
Pleasure to.
I promise me and Carl will try not to just talk about drums for the whole podcast.
Yeah. Although, for the benefit of the listeners, the view we have of Andy's music room is, for a drummer, there's a bass, a ukulele, a banjo, a guitar, Marshall amp,
Yeah.
everything but drums.
Yeah, my drums are in the next room. You missed the accordion as well.
Missed the accordion. But there is. Yeah. There are some bongos on the floor, so that's slightly for me. But there we go.
And there's a lot more than just the drums.
Yeah, I do a bit of everything.
Brings the talent to Darth Elvis and Friends.
Somebody's got to, haven't they?
So, yes, this is the first show of the new Panther Tracks rotation. So you get your Making Tracks podcast every Tuesday with Mark and Mark, featuring all the latest news and interviews. And then every Friday at 7 p.m, you will get a different show from the rest of the Panther Tracks roster. So I believe last week was Planet Leia, and coming up in the next few weeks, I'm not quite sure what order, but you should be getting Cannon Fodder, Start Your Engines, believe it or not, and our new collecting podcast as well.
Deceptions!
Yeah.
Paul Gullet knows the truth.
The truth.
Cannon Fodder.
Yeah.
Start Your Engines.
And of course, completing the roster is our good friend Adam with the Panther from Down Under, who was on the week before Planet Leia, so 2 weeks ago now. So basically, Tuesdays and Fridays are what you need to know. You'll get lots and lots of Star Wars news in a single file.
And also, don't forget about Sundays with Good Morning Tatooine, Brian and his special guests on YouTube and Facebook as well.
Yes, been catching up with those. My rehearsal commitments have moved to Sundays, so I'm catching up with that on a Monday now, so I can't be part of the live chat. But no, they're knocking it out of the park, and I think once a month they're doing a bit more of a kind of round table, kind of like we've got here today.
Yes.
Just listening to you go through the roster of Star Wars podcasts on Panther Tracks just makes me once again appreciate how many Star Wars podcasts there are out there. And the first ever podcast I listened to was a Star Wars show back in 2008.
Wow.
It's just like, it draws you in, doesn't it? It's like, I think there's probably more Star Wars podcasts than any other franchise, I guess. So Panther Tracks does have a great selection, I would say.
Cool. There you go. We haven't even paid him to say that. Honestly.
Since our last episode, there's been a lot of trailers and sneak peeks and a bit more information coming out about the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game coming out, which is out on April 5th. Is that right?
Yes. My pre-order is in.
Fandaby dozy. I need to get it ordered myself because my teenager was going to order it and he hasn't got round to it. So I think I'll have to do it for him.
Did you, when you pre-order, do you get any extra bits? Am I right in thinking there's a Luke minifigure with like the blue milk around his mouth?
There is, I think, is that the Amazon exclusive?
Maybe it is.
There's a few different things kicking about. I know there's a lot of, what do they call it, DLC packs.
Yes. Yeah.
With different characters that you can bundle into your playing. I've pre-ordered mine from the Greek god of the pointless queue, Argos. Yes. So it should be, according to all the emails I've had, it should be landing with me on the day of launch. So
awesome. Did you guys play the first Lego Star Wars game when it came out?
Yes.
Because I remember being very familiar with those scenes from Revenge of the Sith in Lego mode, very much more than the live action one.
Yeah.
I remember obviously saw the movie at the cinema and then just played the game to death.
Yeah.
Way before it came out on DVD. So
Yeah.
relive the story over and over again.
Yeah, and one of the things from those early games, obviously they've come on a lot over the years. And I mean, some of the shots and some of the graphics and things, and even some of the little touches they've included in this game, like if you're walking around like a desert planet or a dusty, muddy planet, the characters' legs get dirtier.
Oh, really?
As you're going round and stuff. It's like, that's just insane level of detail. But you could play, apparently, with all the cutscenes and stuff, either with the voiceovers or with what they're classing as the original sort of grunts.
Yeah. Seen that mumble mode.
Mumble mode, yeah. It's like ace, because that was in those original things where they hadn't really got. I don't know whether they must have had license to do it, but it was just easier for them to like have somebody shrug their shoulders and go, huh?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really, really looking forward to it. I say, and all the footage that's come out, and the various comments and behind the scenes videos and all that that's coming out, it just looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
It looks like so many different characters you can play as. So there's hope for Mr. Keeler to get a Zuvio playable Lego character.
That's it. It'll just
bound to happen.
He'll play the whole saga as Zuvio.
Yeah.
That's what he thinks the whole saga is about Zuvio.
Well, yeah. What if Snoke is actually a Zuvio clone?
Yeah. Well, I think Zuvio won't be in the actual game, but there'll be a DLC pack where you can play as 10,000 Zuvios.
Martin's Loft mode.
Yeah. Every character is Zuvio.
Yeah.
And now I kind of want to see that.
Yeah. It was like he published, I think we mentioned on one of the previous shows, when we were at Farthest From before Christmas, he picked up one of the collector's display cabinets for the original 96. Yeah. And I was like, he just so needs to fill it with Zuvio and take a picture. But
I'm still hoping you'll have a panel at Celebration, like just about Zuvio collecting.
Yeah, look out for the collection track, folks.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've been on your podcast and spent a lot of time talking about Martin Keeler. And when are we going to launch the Keeler cast is my question.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
Yeah. We have started a thing with our guests, people like Mark Hamilton and Leroy and everybody, and we started 6 Degrees of Separation of Zuvio. It was like, how do you know Martin?
Yeah.
Everything comes back to Cantina. But yes, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. Anything else that has cropped up in the last few weeks that's landed on your doorstep?
Bought a couple of little bits and pieces recently.
Ooh.
So I'm not normally one for. Well, I'm an opener basically. I'm not normally one for keeping figures carded or boxed up or anything like that. But I did order the 3 Star Wars droids vintage.
Oh, very nice.
From all the cool stuff, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
So they're going to stay. I think they look so beautiful on the cards with the coins and everything. I did find that I had to do a little bit of jiggling around to get the coins facing the right way because C-3PO's coin was upside down. So I got those, and I've also treated myself to the Jackson.
Nice.
The Star Wars Adventures.
Nice.
The 6-inch black series of everybody's favourite rabbit-shaped Star Wars character.
An essential purchase, I think. That one.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I saw that up close, IRL, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
At one of the conventions just before Christmas, and it is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I am tempted to open it and just let him run amok.
I wouldn't. You know what happens with rabbits?
Yeah, exactly.
Have a house full of Jacksons before you know it.
What have you guys bought anything recently?
Oh, so I guess Greg's may have also landed the Art of Mando book.
Oh, I got that as well, season 2.
I
Yeah.
haven't tried ordering it yet, to be honest.
Ooh.
Yeah, I need to get around to it.
That landed a couple of weeks ago, as did my purchases from our friends at Zavi with the
We're going to play our new jingle. Hang on. Desert Planet Discounts.
Desert Planet discounts. Ding, 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 ding. It's as cheap as chup chups. It's cheap as chirpers. Again, I think we mentioned on a previous episode, they got a deal on a load of their homeware stuff, glasses and water bottles and things like that. And it was like, I think it was 5 items for 20 quid. So I've got a couple of tumbler sets and a pint glass. And
those tumblers, the one that you've just held up.
Yeah.
Quite substantial.
Yeah, they're really weighty.
Yeah. So I've got a set of those as well after you recommended them.
Ah, there you go.
Like whiskey glasses, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I say they are really something. I think I got a couple of those, and I got the ones that have got like the retro figures on as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got the pint glass as well, which is the retro Vader figure. Cool. Other than that, no, it's been a bit quiet. I'm saving my pennies, hopefully, maybe for celebration. But if celebration, Galactic Star Cruiser. No, I haven't.
You're saving your pennies a long time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's Cell's drum kit.
Yeah.
Palpitations. No, never. But no, there's a few things that have already. Some people are teasing things that they will be promoting, selling at some of the upcoming conventions that we'll cover a bit later. So there's a few little bits I've got my eyes on already. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm holding out for some crazy shirts at Celebration. If I do go, I'm the same boat as you. I'm not sure yet if I'll be going or not. But in terms of crazy shirts, that's the only things I've had arrive recently. Was a couple of shirts I'd ordered from Roosevelt's.
Yes.
So I got a nice Star Wars Visions dual episode shirt.
Nice.
Which I think was the website exclusive. And first appearance of Boba Fett holiday special cartoon shirt as well, which I just love.
Awesome.
The Roosevelt shirts are just like the comfiest shirts in the world, and just if you can snag them, because they always, they sell out quite quickly. I can highly recommend. But no, I love my Roosevelt shirts. So tough with those. Had them on the weekend for the first time. Aye, they had a nice selection of Boba Fett shirts. Obviously, when Book of Boba Fett was airing, so I've been waiting for those to come over for some time. But speaking of Book of Boba, shall we have some music, sir?
Yeah, so possibly one of the characters that you'll be able to play in the aforementioned Lego Star Wars, and certainly somebody that featured in the Book of Boba Fett was animation favourite Cad Bane. Here is a little tune by our friends from High Adventure, The Rise of Cad Bane.
A story speaks of a widespread war, a great long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, in a time we've come to know. A republic standing on one side, with its valiant Jedi knights, against the evil separatists, engaged in epic fights. But then one day along there came a hunter on the prowl, who for the earning of his fee committed deeds most foul. Killed, he kidnapped, and he plundered. There was no job too great, as long as he was getting paid, despite being one to hate.
Cad Bane, shots that never miss their mark. Cad Bane, eyes of dark blood red. Cad Bane, wanted men would hear his name and wish that they were dead.
Jedi minds, he would always get away. And those who yet to keep him held would wait till another day. Whatever single shots be heard, as wartime bombs would rain, would bring the name of infamy remembered as
Cad Bane, with shots that never miss their mark. Cad Bane, and eyes of dark blood red. Cad Bane, wanted men would hear his name and wish that they were dead. And wish that they were dead. You can wish that he was dead, but you wish that you were dead.
That was The Rise of Cad Bane by High Adventure, taken from their acoustic prog pop album. You can catch them on YouTube. I think there's even live videos of that being performed on YouTube, on Spotify, Amazon, you name it. You can find them, go and support them, buy their records, like and subscribe to them on YouTube. And I think it's time we talked about Cad Bane and some Book of Boba, eh? Since we last recorded, obviously we've had the full Book of Boba Fett series air. What do you guys think? Andy, what was your thoughts on Book of Boba Fett?
I mean, I really loved it. I thought the whole show was great. I thought the beginning was particularly strong, getting to see him climbing out of that sand next to the Sarlacc pit, just visually stunning. And then there was a really strong Ralph McQuarrie reference, wasn't there, in one of the early episodes as well, with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
so I thought visually amazing. I thought Tem was great, and it just got better and better for me. I did have a little wrinkle with, I think for me it would have been better if they hadn't called it the Book of Boba Fett, if it was just Mandalorian Season 3, the Book of Boba Fett. Because I felt it did throw me a little bit when we had those two episodes that were not really focused on Boba's story. But I think by the time I just sort of readjusted my expectation of what the show was about, just loved it. And obviously we got to see Luke Skywalker looking a bit more graphically enhanced than the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
So, the last time we saw him in Mando Season 2, I think I said to you, Greg, that it looked like they'd used the same model from the old Star Wars Jedi Academy game. like 90s computer graphics, but yeah, it looked great to see Grogu and also Cad Bane, of course. No, quite a lot happened in 7 episodes.
Yes, they squeezed a lot in. I'll go as far as say I think Bryce Dallas Howard's episode The Mandalorian first appearing might be some of my favourite 45 minutes of TV ever. Just the whole Naboo starfighter and Mando saying wizard.
All the callbacks to episode 1 in that
I jumped out of my seat, slapped my thigh. I was laughing my ass off. I was on the floor laughing. I described it as a joygasm. That was just spot on for me, that episode. Yeah. But seeing Cad Bane in live action as well was fantastic. I thought they did a really good job of it. I know there was some complaints online about how his face looked, but no, to me they did a cracking job. And the series as a whole was fantastic. I think there was only one episode that on first watch I wasn't digging too much, and then second watch of it I kind of liked it that bit more, but I think there was this 1 week episode out of the 7. Otherwise it was all fantastic.
Which one?
The one with the mods.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, as I say, the second time I watched it I kind of liked it a bit more, but I think just the mods. I think the characters themselves are okay. It's just the look of the bikes and the fact they're called mods and they're like they're driving around and
a bit too on the nose in terms of the cultural reference, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the cast did a good job of it. Just the way the bikes looked kind of took me, and that's the whole speeder chase at the end. Sorry, can't really call it a chase. It was
the leisurely cruise.
Yeah. It's like, oh, word. But yeah, apart from that episode, I think the whole show was fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carl? What was your...
Yeah, I mean, I think last time we recorded, we were just ahead of the Bryce Dallas Howard episode. So the sort of double whammy of that and then Dave Filoni's episode, I think we were right and justified in our slavering anticipation of them because they did exactly what we know they can do. And I'm maybe not the front of the queue, but I'm certainly quite near the front of the queue of people that would absolutely love to see a Bryce Dallas Howard Star Wars film.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've discussed before, there are people who have come in and directed episodes, and I don't think there's been any badly directed episodes of Mandalorian, but there are some that are excellent standard, and then there are some that are just off the scale, and she's brought some of those off the scale episodes. Deborah Chow was also among them, and obviously she's got the upcoming Obi-Wan series. Taika's obviously done an episode. Admittedly, he'd already got the directing chops. So,
hey, do you think we'll ever see a Dave Filoni directed Star Wars movie?
Yes. I say yes. I think the first thing we would see is a Favoloni collaboration.
Is that an official term, or have you just come up with that?
We made that up.
Okay.
Favoloni is what we're calling them. Portmanteaus, like Brangelina.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see, as they're now dubbing it the Mandoverse, coming to some sort of Avengers Assemble kind of film culmination, and I think they will pretty much be nailed on to do that.
Yeah.
There'll be some giant crossover event that leads to a cinematic story to either put it all to bed or...
Yeah, Star Wars, The Rise of the Mods.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. If they do it in time, you could have Sting in it as well, just for that ultimate callback crossover with Dune and Quadrophenia. And get Phil Daniels in it as well.
I'm starting to think, do we need to do like the Sergeant Pepper's, what was that called? Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plan.
Plans, yeah. Oh, do we need to do a Mandoverse version of Quadrophenia?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bellboy.
Yes.
Yeah. Ben Quadrophenia.
Nice. Right. Okay. Write that one down.
That's the wrong musical, isn't it? That's Tommy. I had a Kitster song, You're So Wizard. You're so wizard. Anyway, I digress. But that's maybe bringing us nicely on to the next song.
Just before you do move on, I think just another Who song that I think you have floated in the past was Jabba O'Reilly.
Oh, yes.
That's always worth a mention.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Right.
This is, by the way, one of our favourite games, just for anyone listening.
Yeah.
Just naming song titles.
Song titles with Star Wars.
Yeah.
With Star Wars puns.
And only a small percentage of them actually get recorded.
We even get suggestions from time to time. We had a brilliant one over the Facebook page recently. I won't spoil it just now because we might actually get around to recording this one.
Oh, okay.
Because that was a cracking suggestion. So, yeah, watch this space. That might happen. But this one we recorded recently was actually another suggestion from, I don't know if anyone's ever heard him. We've never mentioned him on the show before, but a guy called Martin Keeler. This one dates back, I think, 5 or 6 years, probably at least. Martin made the suggestion to me about doing Depeche Mode's Personal Jesus about General Grievous. And it was like, well, that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Darth Elvis and Friends got together virtually and recorded this track. This is General Grievous by Darth Elvis and Friends.
give lightsabers new hopes. Origins unknown and he's all alone, stealing gold, Jedi stuff. Give up your lightsaber, you know he's a collector. You will be sorry. Jedi arrest, put them to the test. Cough in your chest, you're in some distress. Crush him, make him softer. We've been waiting for you. Crush him, make him softer. Your own General Grievous. Someone to kill your clones, leave nothing but bones. Your own General Grievous. Someone to kill your clones, give lightsabers new hopes. Origins unknown and he's all alone, stealing Jedi stuff. Give up your lightsaber, you know he's a collector. Cough and make him softer. You must realize. Crush and make him softer. Crush and make him softer. Crush and make him softer. Crush them. Crush and make him softer.
You're listening to Fantha Tracks. Flip through the galaxy of literature with Cannon Fodder hosts Brian Cameron, Matt Booker, Mark Newbold, and Mark Mulcaster.
Count me in.
Spin round the rim with Desert Planet Discs. Your musical journey through the space lanes with your hosts, Carl Bayliss and Greg Robertson.
The hottest tunes this side of Mos Eisley. Happy!
Get the latest news, interviews, reviews, and much more on Making Tracks with your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
Like an Ewok battle wagon out of control.
Join hosts Claire Henry and a rotating panel of guest hosts for the podcast that's full of hope. Planet Leia.
I love you. I know.
It's time to head south with the Fantha from Down Under, Adam O'Brien.
Oh, g'day, mate. How you going?
Start your engines with Paul Naylor and Mark Newbold as they lift the hood on starships, airspeeders, swoops, capital ships, and more from across the cosmos. And for everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds. Bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
Darth Elvis and Friends, otherwise known as Us Lot. Us three. With General Grievous, a version of the Depeche Mode track Personal Jesus. And that we released back in February to coincide with the second annual Star Wars Podcast Day, which, picking up on what Andy said earlier, I think over 100 podcasts in the end got involved, put shows out on or around that day to celebrate the launch back in, was it 1999?
It was.
Of one of the first ever Star Wars podcast. So that was our little contribution towards that. Was a little mini episode to mark the day, and also to play that track for the first time. And very, very good fun to record this one.
Yeah.
And as we always say, there are videos, but you should really, 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 really check out the video for this one because it is absolutely amazing. Darth Elvis himself is trudging around the forests of Endor, and we were lucky enough to get in touch, get a favourable response from a member of the 501st who happens to cosplay as General Grievous, who did some amazing filming for us as well. I'm sure Greg or Andy will be able to remind me of the name of said gentleman.
Dean Smith.
Dean Smith,
yeah.
That was it.
This is the second time he's done a favour for me. He was the Akbar at #Cantina.
Didn't know that.
He's the very same man that slapped Darth Vegas in the face.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, there you go. He wasn't the dancing porg though.
No, Mystery Porg. That's
Mystery Porg. Yeah.
So no more updates on the Mystery Porg as of yet.
No.
But so with that video in particular, because obviously we started doing Darth Elvis and Friends videos during lockdown, and even now we're no longer in lockdown. We're still very widely separated.
Yes.
So
restraining orders.
Yeah. So we're still working remotely whenever we record together. So it's kind of this. It's grown into this project that's so far remained remote. But because we've done a lot of green screen work before, I was quite keen to step outside a little bit and move away from the green screen. So that's why I suggested to Greg, can you find an outdoor location that looks interesting? And I didn't really know Greg lived on Endor, but he stepped out into the forest there, Forest Moon on Endor, and sent me his footage. So then the challenge was, when we got Dean involved, I sent him Greg's footage and said, is there any way you can find anywhere that looks similar to this? He did a great job, and kind of, it's a little bit like Grievous is chasing Darth Elvis around Endor.
I can move a lot faster than Grievous.
Yeah. But as well, doffed cap and everything in your direction, because the lightsaber effects, that was all edited in. So, as I say, I urge everybody to go and watch the video because it is absolutely brilliant. But
thank you.
I learned what rotoscoping was. So Andy says, I'm rotoscoping the lightsabers, and I'm like, you what?
Yeah, when Dean sent his footage through, I had a deep sigh because he'd obviously used some lightsaber props in some of the footage, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do this now. So rotoscoping is basically like drawing on every frame of a piece of footage. So like the way that they've done it in some of the old Star Wars films and certainly in the prequels was to pause each frame and draw on where the lightsabers are and give them that glowy effect, which I managed to do on our video. So Grievous has got proper lightsabers that do look good.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the recording that we did on this one as well. Oh, I'll reveal the little John Williams touch that's in there. I tried to insert the droid army theme from episode 2, because obviously we're singing about Grievous. So that guitar riff is a kind of a reworked version of John Williams' droid army theme.
Oh,
yeah. Yes. So in the film, it's more of a dun 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 dun. So I've messed around with it, slowed it down, played it on guitar, and no one recognises it. So,
well, we recognised it.
We recognised. Yeah, you two recognised it actually.
I've got to say thanks to Dean's daughter Ashton and my wife Holly for filming the footage of myself and Dean. Red Ashton is also a very talented musician in her own rights. I think find her music on YouTube and stuff as well. So check it out.
Brilliant, cool.
No, I was really, really chuffed with the Grievous video. Hats off to Andy and everyone, Ashton and Dean and Holly and your good selves. It's definitely one of my favourite tracks I think we've done. And
it's even reached Grievous himself.
Indeed.
It has. Yeah. Matt would like to describe it as amazing.
Yeah. so there you go. If General Grievous is saying it's amazing, you guys need to check it out as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And while you're there, you can also see the wonderful other videos that we've created. Again, lots of sterling work being done by Andy. The video for Good Night But Not Goodbye, which we played on our Life Day special last year.
Yeah. I think it's worth revealing that it was originally meant to be for the previous year's one.
Yeah.
So we recorded the music and then it took a year to make the video. So yeah, missed the deadline on that one, but got there in the end.
Yeah, little peek behind the curtain there, folks.
Yeah.
We've only got 8 months until the next Life Day. We better get started.
Better get started. What was this year? Was it Light the Sky on Fire?
I think we'll have to do that, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should really get cracking on that.
Yeah.
Joking aside. I'll speak to you after this.
We have started the next track. We won't.
We have,
Won't spoil it for anyone. I just need to get my recording equipment back up and running from changing jobs, and I've just ordered a new laptop because I'm locked down on my new laptop and a new job. So yes, new laptop on the way, so I can get back to recording again. So watch this space. Hopefully soon we'll have another Darth Elvis and Friends song coming to YouTube and Desert Planet Discs.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Somebody who has been getting new music out and about is our old friend Royish Good Looks, who not content with, I think he put a track out just towards the end of last year, was it? Chosen One. And he's kicked off 2022 with another new song, the Bad Batch theme, which evokes all sorts of Team America vibes, but is up to his usual standard. A nice bit of pop punk. So here it is, Royish Good Looks with the Bad Batch theme.
Hey, this is Royish Good Looks, and you're listening to Desert Planet Discs.
We can't go back to Camino. We gotta build our strength while we lay low. 'Cause there's no republic to rely on anymore. It might be tough 'cause we all know the galaxy is dangerous on your own. But if you got my back, then I got yours. They say good soldiers follow orders, but that was then and now the war is over. It's so hard to ignore what you're meant for. We are the Bad Batch, brothers on the run. We are the Bad Batch, together we are one. We are Code Force 99, we don't leave our own behind. We are the Bad Batch, the Bad Batch. In the end, we all choose sides. This is who I am, I can't deny. We all do our best, it's by design. They say good soldiers follow orders, but that was then and now the war is over. It's so hard to ignore what you're meant for. We are the Bad Batch, brothers on the run. We are the Bad Batch, set blasters to stun. We are Code Force 99, we don't leave our own behind. We are the Bad Batch, we are the Bad Batch. They say good soldiers follow orders, but that was then and now the war is over. It's so hard to ignore what you're made for. We are the Bad Batch, brothers on the run. We are the Bad Batch, together we are one. We are the Bad Batch, brothers on the run. We are the Bad Batch, set blasters to stun. We are Code Force 99, we don't leave our own behind.
And that was the Bad Batch theme by our good friend Royish Good Looks. Go and check him out on YouTube, and you can subscribe to him on Patreon, and he's on Spotify, Apple Music. You can find him everywhere. Go and check him out and support him. So talk about the Bad Batch.
You sound almost professional when you do this. It sounds great.
Well,
So you've seen it before.
Only almost.
Almost professional.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bad Batch theme, that brings us nicely to the return of the Bad Batch. When are we going to get the Bad Batch Season 2? There's not been much mention of it. There was kind of rumours of May the 4th, which happens to be a Wednesday. I think that's unlikely, based with other programmes coming out in May. What do you think, guys? When are we going to get Bad Batch Season 2? And what do you want to see in Bad Batch Season 2?
I would have thought we'd have seen a trailer by now if it was going to be May. So I think I'm with you. It's going to be maybe after the Obi-Wan show's been and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think reading between the lines and several of our peers in the Star Wars news world, there seems to be a bit of reluctance from Disney's side to put anything out that's really going to sort of tread on the toes of the Obi-Wan show. Anything that's going to come out alongside that and maybe impact on the viewing of that, although you can kind of argue that although they're all Star Wars stories, I guess, they are distinctly different properties. Certainly if the tone of the Obi-Wan show is as dark in places as has been speculated, then it's going to be a world away from some of the stuff that the Bad Batch would have covered. Although, having said that, the Bad Batch was fairly bleak in places in Season 1.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a continuation of that story. I think what surprised me about the first season was that I didn't really have that many expectations going in about what it was going to be all about, other than maybe seeing a bit of the rise of the Empire. And so I'm looking forward to more of that sort of, almost more of the not knowing and debating what's to come and just being swept away with it all.
It'd be interesting if we get like a Clone Wars where we're getting the clones battling stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Or quite cool. And obviously, I think the very end of Season 1, we saw Mount Tantis. So sort of cloning facilities and things on that planet, I think.
There was a level of the old Star Wars Battlefront 2 that pitted clone troopers against stormtroopers. Do you remember?
Vaguely. It's so easy to play that. I was playing Battlefront 2, the new one, before I joined.
Oh, nice. But they had, in the story mode, they had the stormtroopers returning to Camino to fight battalions of original generation clones that were holding out there.
Nice.
Which was interesting. Obviously, we can't do that now because the cloning facility is underwater, as we saw in the end of Season 1.
Yeah, I think it's been speculated again in a few places that we might see a bit of a time jump of several years, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a picking up as they fly away from Camino, having left Crosshair there, but it's going to be a few years on, so the Empire is more prevalent around the galaxy, and certainly Omega's a bit more advanced and a bit older. So it would be interesting if they do go down that route, rather than literally picking up from the end of Season 1, but a bit kind of like you got with the prequels. I guess with the original trilogy, you've kind of got a gap between the films, but it's a bit more indeterminate. But certainly between like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Happy Birthday, Attack of the Clones, you've got the jump in time. So it'd be interesting to see something like that. So you're not seeing all the events played out literally in a linear fashion. It's kind of there is stuff that they refer back to, which they can always flesh out in other series, comics or books or whatever else. Don't have to see every waking minute. I think it would be interesting to pitch the story forward a few years, and the Empire's got more of a foothold, so it'd be interesting to see. And also, I know, picking up on Book of Boba Fett as well, be interesting to see. Obviously, we know Cad Bane survives because he showed up. Do we think that somewhere down the line we may see Omega brought into the live action realm as well?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, and maybe not just in Book of Boba Fett as well. I think there's potential for her to have tried to stay out of the way, kind of thing. Again, a lot will depend on how her story plays out in the Bad Batch.
So, if Omega shows up in Book of Boba Fett Season 2, is she going to be played by Tim Morrison, is my question.
Tim Morrison in a wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could pull it off.
Yeah, I think so.
Although there was a thought, wasn't there, during Season 1, that although the regular clones had obviously got growth acceleration,
yeah,
Boba hadn't got growth acceleration. There was a thought at one point, because I think she was on about she was in the lab when they were formulated.
Yeah.
There was a school of thought that she'd actually got some sort of growth inhibitor.
Yeah.
So
like Boba, like an
yeah, or she'd actually got something that was actually slowing down her aging. So she could effectively be 30, while Boba Temi's obviously 50, 60.
Yeah.
So she could still be sort of mid-30s, 40, because she's had this sort of almost slowing down of the aging process rather than the growth acceleration.
Yeah, but so's Boba.
Yeah.
He's unaltered as well. What I want to know is, for some people in the Star Wars galaxy, the passing of time doesn't seem to do very much to them.
Yeah.
Whereas, take the likes of Obi-Wan, he's had a rough bit of time. Not so much in the new trailer, which we can talk about, but between the time from that and like his appearance in Rebels and in A New Hope, that's a hard paper round. Same with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, they've had a rough paper.
Yeah.
Those paper rounds in Tatooine ain't good.
That's all that moisture farming.
Yeah.
It's
lack of moisture, is it? So I'm going to stick face in oil of Ule or whatever they call it. Ole.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called now. Obi-Wan.
Yeah, speaking of the
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Have you guys seen the trailer?
What, there's a trailer out?
That was a pleasant surprise. I was kind of expecting that potentially to be a Bad Batch trailer when there was chat of it, and then that, I think Lucasfilm marketing gets so wrong sometimes. But to have the first tweet from the Obi-Wan Kenobi page being "Hello there," it's
Hello there.
Oh yes, well done. And Entertainment Weekly photos coming out that day as well.
Images, yeah.
It's like, oh, we're getting something, and that trailer dropped, and it's like, oh, sexy.
Yes.
Luke Skywalker riding like a panther.
Yeah.
And the homestead. Yeah. What do you guys think of that trailer?
I was out when it dropped. I was at a gig. I'd seen the pictures during the day, and then I was out at this gig and just got a Facebook message from a friend saying the trailer's out. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I ended up watching it, sitting on the bus on the way home, just like watching it, a little video on my phone. But yeah, it's one of those moments where you think, if you'd have told me 5-6 years ago we were going to get all of this Star Wars stuff in the space of just a few years, I would not have believed it. And the fact that we're here now and we're seeing Ewan McGregor returning to the role, not only him, but
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. No, I was thinking about Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Joel
Edgerton. Yeah. Yes. And just this return to those prequel actors, but getting closer to the original saga. I was thinking about, particularly with Uncle Owen, because he looks so fantastic and intriguing in the trailer. I think we're going to be brought into a bit more of a sympathetic mindset when we watch the original film again, and maybe his death will be even more tragic by the time we get to that point in A New Hope, because of this new backstory that they're telling. So yeah, those are just some of my thoughts when I watched it. Obviously, I've watched it a few times since then. I've loved it every time, and I can't wait for the show.
That's going to be brilliant. Nice to see the Inquisitors, new ones and old ones that we're familiar with from Rebels.
Yeah.
And obviously there's been, again, like there was with Cad Bane, people complaining
about... He looks fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with him, he looks fine.
There's not many people out there with really skinny, narrow heads. Bruce Spence might be the only one who's the comparison people keep using for Utapalians from Revenge of the Sith. But no, I think it's Rupert Friend, I think, isn't it, playing Grand Inquisitor?
I think with all of these things, the animation is slightly stylized.
Yeah.
And
because Christopher Lee doesn't have a pointy face. Like, he hasn't got, like, he didn't have a massive pointy chin.
and Obi-Wan in the Genndy Tartakovsky suit, you know, sort of like giant sort of 4 foot wide square beard.
Yeah.
No, that's not what he looks like. But all of the iterations of animation, you know, yes, some of the human characters have looked kind of like the rendering of Anakin in Clone Wars and things like that. You know, they've stayed fairly.
Well, even so, they still looked a bit like marionette puppets in the first, the early Clone Wars show.
Yeah, they didn't move like real people. You know, and I mean, who's to say at some point we don't get a live action Zeb Aurelius, which I've just thought about and now think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but,
and it would look like
it's not. It's not going to look exactly like the cartoon or exactly like the concept art.
Yeah,
you know, we had it with Ahsoka. The Leku weren't long enough. You know.
Yeah, but it's about the story that's being told, isn't it?
That's it. It's the character and it's the story.
Yeah,
and if he's
the impact of it. And all that stuff.
The biggest complaint, if you like, and you can't really tell, particularly from the couple of images, but in Rebels, and again, this might be something that gets explained in the story, but in Rebels, the Grand Inquisitor had got yellow eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, in that trailer, yes, you're quite a distance away, but he didn't appear to have. But maybe that's a bit like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, where, you know, it's only when he's being really, really, really evil he progresses into being more of a Sith. Although I know the whole thing with the Inquisitors is they aren't Sith; they're just
dark side users.
Yes, dark side users. So
maybe they're like cat's eyes on the motorway, where you just have to catch them
at the right angle with the light. Yeah,
I actually think that would work if it was, you know, if Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber and then you see the reflection of in the eyes, and the eyes sort of glow yellow for some reason. But it looks fine. I think sounds great. I'm just excited to see the Grand Inquisitor in it. I'd not even thought about seeing the Inquisitors in the Obi-Wan series, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense what you're saying in that trailer about this is how to hunt a Jedi. This is what they like.
Yeah.
We may see other Jedi. You never know. They might start off with showing us the deaths of some other Jedi being hunted down by the Inquisitors.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah. And how many episodes? Is that 6 episodes, the Obi-Wan show, or something like that? Is it another limited
I think
run?
6, yeah. And it's, I think, a one and done, isn't it?
Well, they've said that it's a 6-episode, and I think they're calling it a limited series.
Yeah, that's it.
But in an interview in the last week or so, Kathy Kennedy has kind of said, well, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody coming back together had a great time doing it. There may be scope to do more.
Oh, okay.
So I guess a lot of it will depend where they go with the story. Again, not wishing to throw it. I can't even say that they're spoilers, because their own concept art has teased the fact that there is going to be some sort of showdown between Obi-Wan and Vader.
Oh, they come out and said that. They've said like the showdown of the century or the of the century.
Yeah. So you've got that, but then do you really want to? If you did a second series, you've got to have sufficient mileage to go off and tell another good story within. If this 6 episodes, and I'm sure I've heard somewhere that they reckon the episodes are all sort of fairly chunky, sort of 50 minutes to an hour a piece. So if within that story you leave it off at a point at the end of that story that, yes, obviously there is time between when this series ends and A New Hope.
Yeah.
But is there sufficient scope other than Obi-Wan goes off and gets in another couple of little scrapes just because you could do another series doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Here's a question for you. So we've talked about, like character discrepancies between live action and the animation in terms of the look. But if they did a second series of Obi-Wan and they brought Darth Maul into it and gave us a different take on Darth Maul's death from Rebels, do you think there would be a backlash to that, or do you think it's something that people would like to see in live action? Because I don't think they would do it necessarily the same, like beat for beat, and they might want to tell a slightly different story. But do you think it's kind of, I know there's obviously, it happens sometimes between the novels and the live action shows where they'll slightly change story elements to fit. Can you see them doing something like that? Or is the animated stuff held in too high regard for them to touch it in terms of canon? Thoughts?
I don't think they would go there. I think there's a good chance if they were to do a second season, Darth Maul would be in it in some sort of way, trying to find Kenobi, potentially like a whole backstory, kind of tying into the Star Wars Rebels episode where he got his end. I can't see them rewriting it. I know they've obviously done that in the past with, I think Bad Batch, in fact, the season 1 with Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
That was...
Oh, yeah, so they did, yeah.
Slightly different from a book. I think it was that in...
It was in the comics.
Was it the comics?
Yeah, it was in the Kanan comic series. He showed you his master being offed, and then the way that it played out in the start of Bad Batch was similar, but certainly different enough to cause a few people some concerns. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't.
Because personally, I don't see what other stories you could tell.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
give you the satisfaction of Obi-Wan versus Vader. Which we're obviously getting at some point. So
yeah, as I say, I think ultimately it will come down to where the story leaves off. And again, I mean, I've heard various things which are way too spoilery, so I won't go into them here.
Oh, okay.
But it kind of, if it does finish where it's speculated to finish, then it's a neat jumping off point. But by the same token, if they believe that they've got sufficiently merit-worthy stories that they could do another limited series, then that might be something to look forward to. I'd be more interested to see Maul come into something around a sort of Crimson Dawn show.
Picking up those threads from Solo.
Yeah. I think. I think something like that would really, again, kind of, he's sort of know part of his origin. We know both of his deaths, or both of his ends.
No one's ever really gone.
No, maybe his legs come back and find Obi-Wan in the second series of Obi-Wan, and he's got like a robot head.
Yeah.
So who knows? So yeah, I think if they were going to do anything with Maul, I would rather see them flesh out, because I think the stuff we got in Clone Wars and the bit we got in Rebels kind of fleshed out a bit of that, where he obviously fell away from being Palpatine's apprentice, so then he kind of got a little, almost a bit of jealousy of Anakin, I guess, of like, oh well, I was only a stepping stone. So then he wanted to go off and almost try and bring down Palpatine, but through a different route. And I think fleshing that story out would be much more interesting than just trying to, we'll bring him back into the Obi-Wan show because there's a reason for him to want to find him. I think leaving it that he finds him and there's that bit of a fight, I'd leave it in Rebels personally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Speaking of Rebels.
Speaking of Rebels.
Speaking of Rebels. Shall we have some music?
Yes. And what better way to wrap up a little chat about Obi-Wan Kenobi than with a song called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Why not?
Featuring a very special guest this evening, Andy, on drums for Blues Harvest. And this is taken from their excellent album, Made in Space, which was recorded live in Preston, I believe.
That is correct. In December 2019.
Ooh.
Mere months before the pandemic.
3 months BC.
Yes.
Before COVID.
Is that the last gig you played?
Yeah, that's the last gig we played. We have got a couple of gigs in the pipeline for our no doubt triumphant return. So this was our. I'm a little bit surprised that we weren't approached for the theme song for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but they've got this Williams guy involved instead.
Yeah,
so, fair play. I've heard some of his stuff. It's all right.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Made in Space is available on all good streaming sites and iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music. And here they are, Blues Harvest with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was a crazy man. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Force was in his hand. Yeah. 20 years of exile, out in Tatooine. The Padawan of a man called Qui-Gon, who died in his arms, yeah. 20 years of exile, out in Tatooine, communing with Qui-Gon, and Yoda his best. When you believe in things you won't understand, and you suffer, Ben Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was just a crazy old man. Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Force was in his hand. 20 years of exile. Out in Tatooine. Communing with Qui-Gon. And Yoda is dead. When you believe in things you won't understand, and you suffer, Ben Kenobi was a man.
you.
Taken from the fantastic Made in Space, that was Obi-Wan Kenobi by the legendary Blues Harvest, who you may have seen around the galaxy at many conventions this side of Mos Espa and Chicago and all over the world. You'll
Paris.
Paris.
Disneyland Paris, yes.
Burnley.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Preston.
All those places.
All those places
and
and more.
Yeah.
And more indeed. And speaking of conventions, we're quite lucky that things are slowly moving back to normal in the UK. Although COVID seems to be on the rise again, but we
that's
are
normal now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think you guys you're not wearing masks down in England, are you anymore?
No.
Sometimes,
Scotland.
yeah, it's not mandatory, but
Yeah, it's
it
not
depends
mandatory.
where you are, I guess.
Scotland next week we were meant to, but it's now been pushed back until April. I think there's the numbers climbing up here again. But conventions, yes, we're going back to conventions again, and there's quite a few sexy conventions coming up in the coming months. Starting off, I believe, with Wales Comic Con. I think is coming up first. Is that the 2nd April?
Well, yeah, we've actually got a new convention in Birmingham called MegaCon, which I think is later this month.
Ah, excellent. Okay.
Which I don't really know too much about.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Good research.
Other than it's at the NEC, and I believe it's run by the guy who started MCM Comic Cons.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously he sold the MCM brand to Reed. And
quick look on the MegaCon website. They've got an honorary Blues Harvest band member, David Bradley, appearing.
Oh,
excellent.
And then they don't seem to have many Star Wars guests other than they've got Mark Silk, who's
Nice.
definitely worth seeking out if you get to meet him, because he's a very talented voice actor, and ask him to do his Johnny Bravo, because he was the voice of Johnny Bravo. So
wicked.
And he was in Star Wars as well. He played what's his character's name? He's one of the
There's the Grand Senator, isn't he?
Yeah.
I want to say adds something.
Axmo.
Yeah.
On it with the Star Wars trivia.
There we go. So so that's coming up. Although I don't know if many or even any of the Fantha team are at that one. So as I say, it only cropped up in my Facebook timeline a couple of days ago. So need to have a look into that one.
26th to the 27th.
March. Yeah. So, but yes, then next up on the 2nd of April is a favourite of mine, Echo Live, down at Redditch in the Midlands. So another nice local one for me. So more around sort of vintage collecting, but they've got some great guests, mainly original trilogy. I know Femi Taylor's there, Paul Blake, Chris Bunn. There's a whole host of names. That this one's more geared around sort of cantina actors.
Yeah.
So that the whole theme of the thing is scum and villainy. So so that's always really good fun, and they raise a lot of money for good causes. In fact, I did an article rounding up all the guests and all the goings on ahead of the show, and I think they've raised something like £85,000 to date for a variety of charities. So it's a really, really good show. It's always it's got busier and busier and busier every time, which is always good. And so we're looking forward to that one. And then the same weekend is Wales Comic Con in Telford, not Wales. Because
Andy Serkis is that one, isn't he?
Yes. That was one of the first big shows that we were able to go back to at the back end of last year. Mark Newbold and myself went, and there was a load of really good guests, and we got loads of time to speak to all of them, including Brian Herring, Mike Quinn, Angus McInnes, Dennis Lawson. It was just amazing, and it's really, really well laid out as a show. Quite often with some of these shows, the guests are sort of scattered around, but they tend to have like a Star Wars guest section, which, aside from a few of the main attraction type guests, I mean, Ian McDiarmid was at the last show, and I'm guessing it'll be the same with this one with Andy Serkis, and they're away from the rest of the guests. But if you're going and you want your memorabilia, your posters, helmet, whatever signed, it's really well laid out, because you can literally just go one to the other, to the other, to the other. Caroline Blakiston was there as well.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so that was a really good show last time. So we're really looking forward to going back to that one. And then right before Celebration, we have another one of our favourites, and it's been a couple of years since we've been able to get up to the north of England for good old Star Wars Fan Fun Day.
Yes.
Which talking of Wales Comic Con not being in Telford, this is no longer in Burnley. It's just down the road, still at a football ground, but now at the home of one-time Premier League winners Blackburn Rovers. Ewood Park, so similar sort of area. I'll probably get lynched by locals for that.
No, it's just down the road.
Yeah. So,
we've got some good guests announced for that so far. I think just tonight they announced Annabelle Davis.
Yesterday they announced Harrison Davis. I think there's a little trend there.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a hat trick coming.
Yeah, I think there might well be another Davis to be announced.
They were all meant to be appearing in a local convention in Aberdeen this weekend, but I believe they all caught COVID and couldn't attend. So if you're listening, get well soon, guys.
Yes. They've also got Lewis McLeod's going to be there.
Yes.
Alan Rusco, Mark Lewis Jones, Paul Blake, Jack Clough, who I've not seen at a convention before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now, I think Claire and I spoke to Jack at SW40 in Coventry a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. He's, as you say, although he's one of those names that you sort of think, oh yeah, he's been at loads of conventions, he doesn't actually crop up that often. So
yeah,
definitely worth speaking to. Really, really interesting guy.
Yeah, got a bit of space on my wall for another Rebel pilot as well. So
there you go.
That's one thing I'm looking forward to, is getting back to the conventions and getting some new autographs on my wall.
Yeah.
The Star Wars Fan Fun Day. I think that's my all-time favourite Star Wars convention. I can't wait to go back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's local to me as well, so.
Yeah, I'm gutted in that I was. In fact, I have actually bought a ticket for the meal on the Sunday night, Dinner with the Stars. Although then I realised it's not on the Sunday night; it's on the Saturday night.
It is, yeah.
Because normally it would be on a bank holiday weekend, so the dinner's on the Sunday, the show's on the Monday. But I don't know whether it's linked to the fact they've moved location or what, but it's now the dinner's on the Saturday night and the show's on the Sunday. And the Saturday, I'm playing at a wedding.
Oh, I will speak to you after the show, because I might be looking to go to that Dinner with the Stars, so might be able to do a little deal.
No.
I'll play Sabak for it.
Oh, has he got one of the little? So, and then of course after that we have the wonderful prospect of Celebration. I say prospect. The tickets went back on sale.
Happening, yeah.
Yesterday, I think.
Yesterday, yeah.
As we record, and the 4-day tickets had all sold out, fairly sharpish, and I think the Jedi VIP ones, which were $900. Ouch!
Wow.
Went in about 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's usually minutes, like 1-2 minutes normally.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So.
What do you get with that? Some like pin badges and stuff?
Yeah. I don't know exactly what you're getting this time. Certainly, Celebration Europe in 2016. One of the guys that was stopping in the same hotel as me had got the Jedi Master VIP thing, and you get you get like the key art. We got a big print of the key art from the show, and a freebie goodie bag sort of thing. I think you got access to the shop. Yeah, like a personal shopper thing. You also got like a VIP lounge where you could leave your bags and stuff during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, light refreshments.
Light refreshments.
They also organise like meet and greets for the VIPs as well. So Celebration Europe in London was Dave Filoni, and it was
didn't know about that. Yeah,
Doug Chang and Ian McCaig, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it does seem worth a bit of extra money then, after all.
Yeah, you get special.
You also get pin badges as well.
Yeah. In fact, I think you got a Darth Maul, or you got a pin badge, and the guy that was stopping in my hotel got a Darth Maul pin badge because he gave it to me because he was like, I'm like an art collector, so I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm an art collector.
Okay, so find someone who's got the VIP
VIP badge, but also has a very, very finite thing that they collect, and doesn't want any of the free shit that they're given. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my recipe for success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stop up in a hotel bar drinking with them till the early hours.
Yeah.
Although, if I remember, because I tried to get the VIP access for Celebration in London, and that was 300 quid.
Yeah.
No, I know the cost of living has gone up quite a bit recently, but I don't think it's gone up threefold.
Yeah.
No, I think for America they used to have different levels of. There was like Jedi Knight and Jedi Master, and
right.
One was about 450, and one's obviously, like you say, about 900. But I don't know what the difference is in those, and the same this year. But
well, if you turn your gas and electric off before you go to Celebration, then the money that you'll save will account for the.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Leave your car at home, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Celebration not long now. It's just a couple of months away.
Yes.
No announcements of guests or anything, unfortunately, as yet. But I'm sure those.
Hey, here's a wild prediction. Just thinking back to previous celebrations when we used to have I remember seeing the Star Wars Rebels panel and they debuted the first couple of episodes. So maybe that'll happen with the Bad Batch season 2. They'll have a Bad Batch panel and then launch it with the first episode, or
possibly
there's a couple at the con.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, one of the things I have heard discussed and would be awesome is, presumably, because Kenobi debuts on the Wednesday as the show starts on the Thursday, there's bound to be a Kenobi panel.
Yeah.
How ace would it be for all the people that are at Celebration to see the first and possibly even the second episode on like the big screen in the main arena?
That'd be sweet.
That would be very, very cool.
Hey, earlier you mentioned, or you brought up in casual conversation, the mystery Porg.
Oh, yes.
So I thought I'd just expand on what that is. So when Blues Harvest played, with Darth Elvis, of course, at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, we had a whole load of guests joining us on stage. We had Dave Collins, we had Taylor Gray, we even had Jet Lucas, and we had one mystery Porg. So this was a Star Wars actor who dressed in a full-body Porg costume and who has, as of yet, been unidentified. I thought I'd just drop in a little bit of a tease and a clue as to who that might be, and just say that the person's name has been mentioned in this podcast.
Ooh.
So, for anyone...
There you go.
Thanks, Jeff. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, George. There we go, boys. That's celebration coming up, and I think that's the end of another episode of Desert Planet Discs.
It is indeed. As soon as any more celebration news comes out, first place to find out will be on fanthatracks.com. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
So to close out the show, first of all, thanks very much, Andy, for joining us this evening.
Yay! Thank you, Andy.
Oh, thanks, guys. Hey, it's been a real pleasure. Obviously, we talk quite often outside of podcasts because we were trying to work on songs together and things, but it's been nice to just talk about Star Wars and hang out with you guys for an evening. And before I do go, I think obviously we just talked about conventions and things, but just another little shout out to the Star Wars Fan Fun Day, because it's one of those really small conventions where you do feel like you get a little bit more access to some of the stars there and a bit more time to talk with them, especially if you do get to go to the dinner. And Carl, I'll talk to you later about your...
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do recommend the Star Wars Fan Fun Day up in Blackburn.
Yeah.
And hopefully see some of you there.
Yeah.
Can echo that 100%. Fantastic day. I've taken my family a couple of times, and it's just fantastic for, people of all ages, young and old.
Yeah.
It's a great time, and as you say, you get a lot of time with the guests, which you don't tend to get with the bigger conventions. So fantastic. And money's all going to a fantastic cause as well, as always.
Yeah.
So thanks again, Andy, for joining us. We need to have you on more often, I think, and we'll hopefully catch up again soon. So rounding off the show, we have Star Wars Culture performing a parody song by Bob Marley, but with some Star Wars mixed in, which was created by Jeff Montoya. The song wrote itself, I think. This is Cad Shot the Sheriff by Star Wars Culture.
Cad shot the sheriff.
All around in Freetown, the turf war is going down. Every time we move the spice, he say, dump it before you go. He says, dump it before you go. And I say,
Shot the sheriff.
and I also shot that deputy.
Shot the sheriff.
And that moof-milking deputy.
Thanks for listening to Desert Planet Discs. If you want to stay part of the action and up to date on all the latest Star Wars news, check out the Fantatracks app via the App Store on your mobile device.
You can contact us via email at radio@fanthatracks.com. Comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fanthatracks, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice.
Don't forget to head to fanthatracks.com/radio, home of Fantatracks Radio, and follow us on our social media feeds at Fantatracks, and bookmark fanthatracks.com for all the latest in Star Wars news. Bane, I'm gonna live forever.